Welcome back to the Student Union. We are excited to kick off your session. This session is focused on financial aid, housing, living on campus, the Student Health Center, and also our Counseling and Testing Center as well. Before we jump into the presentations, students and family members, pull out that orange resource guide that I referenced earlier today. Again, I hope that you take some time this summer to flip through that so you're familiar with the content, and make sure you have it with you when classes begin in September, because many of the questions that you may have in those first couple of weeks will be answered within that resource guide. For the moment, turn to page 23. We often receive questions from students and families about banking and credit unions and financial institutions. Selecting a financial institution is a personal choice. We don't endorse a specific institution by any means. We want you to be aware of your options that are available to you, and that's what page 23 provides to you. A list of local options, including one that's very close, a UW Credit Union branch that's on the first floor of this building. The credit union is not open today. However, I have asked Paul to play a short video so that you can become familiar with what's available at the credit union. Thanks, Paul.
Credit Union, a proud partner of the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. And we're here for every Eagle, for every stage of life. We began on the UW-Madison campus 90 years ago. And since then, we've helped students avoid fees and build credit for big dreams beyond graduation. We've even created a campus package that lets you mix and match features that best fit your needs, like a free checking account, savings account, fee-free ATMs, and more. In addition to financial support and guidance for all students, Eagles also get local perks, including exclusive debit card designs to show your La Crosse pride and your financial savvy. And we're always close by for whatever you need. But we aren't just here for every student. We're also here for every member of our community. With investments in scholarship funds, programs for equity and diversity, and financial literacy outreach that helps more people achieve their goals. Because we know you're made for great things, and preparing for everything ahead starts with a partner who will always be here for you. Join our local credit union today. UW Credit Union, here for every you. Official campus provider of financial services to the UW-La Crosse community. Go Eagles!
All right, we're going to roll right into the Residence Life portion of this session. I'm excited to introduce to you Lisa Weston. Lisa and her colleagues in the Office of Residence Life have been busy with us hosting the State High School Track and Field Meet. It also means we house thousands of athletes in our residence halls. So without further ado, here is Lisa Weston.
Thanks for that warm welcome, everyone. Yeah, Lisa Weston, Associate Director for Residence Life. I know as you are checking off your boxes, as you prepare to kick off the year, right, you're here today, and many of you are likely thinking, the next time I'm going to be on campus is probably for move-in. So we're going to start with what those move-in logistics are going to be like, and then we'll talk a little bit more broadly about what living on campus is like, all right? So, there we go, move-in. Move-in really takes place over the course of about 5 days. So August 27th through the 30th are move-in days. Every day we have arrival times from about 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. If you want to take a photo of this screen, sometimes it's easier to find. It is on our website. Sometimes it's easier when it's in your phone. Do you want me on the stage in the photos, or no? Okay, I'll stay down here. That's fine. That's fine. So the week of July 7th, students, you're going to get an email that says, now is the time to select your move-in day. We don't determine that for you. You get to pick. Now, some of you have lots of flexibility and you can arrive any of those days. I know some of you are not as flexible and you are like, I already took off the 29th, it has to be that day. When you go into the sign up, if it is full for your residence hall and that day, give our office a call. Okay, we have some flexibility and we know that that's going to be the case for some families. So don't panic if you get there and it's full. If you can be flexible, please do. Know that 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. time is your arrival time. We don't kick you out at 2 p.m. So here's a little pro tip for you, right? Most of you are gonna feel like you should be here at 10 a.m., right? You can look at your anxious mom and say, we don't have to be here at 10 a.m., okay? If you come at noon or 1 o'clock, you're gonna have a little bit more elbow room in the stairwells. You might even get a closer parking spot. So be strategic about your arrival time. It doesn't have to be at 10. We don't kick you out. Again, you're gonna select your move-in day. The reason why we stretch this out over 5 days is really based on parking lot capacity. So if we did it all in one day, some of you would be walking 10, 12 blocks to get to your residence hall. We don't wanna do that for you. So we try to be strategic in having you arrive over a series of days. New student orientation, your required events really don't start until the afternoon of the 30th. So if you arrive on Saturday, you haven't missed a thing. And if you come on Wednesday, we will have fun activities for you to start connecting with students throughout the week. So it's really up to what works best for your family, okay? As you are packing, be thinking about packing light. If you've already rented that U-Haul truck, remember that that's bigger than your dorm room, okay? So be strategic. So as I said, we do have some limited volunteers to help you schlep things into the building, some athletes, some upperclassmen, but for the most part, if you pack it, you're going to be moving it, right? Keep in mind, most of our residence halls do not have elevators. I like to tell a story. A few years ago, I was standing at the Coat Hall front desk. Anyone know they're living in Coat Hall? Okay, no elevators, sorry. So I was standing at the Coat Hall front desk talking to a parent. We're engaged in a conversation. Another parent, clearly flustered and a little disheveled, carrying boxes, about to fall over her head, walks in and says, she interrupts us and just says, can you just tell me where the elevator is? I'm about to say, oh, this building doesn't have an elevator. And the other parent, clearly irritated, says, down the hall and to the left. And away she went. Now, she never came back to the front desk. I don't know if she found an elusive elevator, or was just embarrassed. But I like to tell that story just to remind you, you are going to get a glute workout that day, probably. How many of you know that you're going to come early for something like marching band, football, volleyball? If that's you, do not sign up for a move-in time. Your band director, your coach, whomever is asking you to be here early will make arrangements with their office. So you will follow whatever they tell you, and you don't need to sign up for a move-in time. Okay? So those are all of the details about move-in. Let's talk a little bit about living on campus. So I hope as you are planning what you're packing, you're having conversations with your roommates, right? Be strategic in what you're bringing. I love on move-in day seeing the coordinated bedding, that you were like, we're gonna get matching bedding, and the room's all cutely decorated. Fantastic, do that. Do whatever feels right to you, right? Some of you are gonna be rooming with someone you've known for a long time, maybe a high school friend. Others of you used our roommate dating portal, right? Found someone you feel like it's a good match, and I hope it is. Some of you were bold and said, I'm gonna take a random roommate. I always think that's the way to go, to be honest. No expectations, let's see what it's like. Regardless of how you found your roommate, now is the time to start leaning into that relationship. So UWL is a very popular place to be, and so that means that we will fill every single bed. So if you and your roommates are not getting along, there's not an empty bed down the hall you can move into. So that means I want you to lean into that relationship to figure out how to make it work. So families, you have a student sitting next to you, a roommate, that you are sending to us in September. Would any of you say like, this is the perfect roommate? They always go to bed at a reasonable hour, they're very clean, anybody? Not even one hand. Usually I get one or two. Okay, there's one. Okay, there you go. So there's a few. Students, you can take that up with your families later. I say that in jest, right? Because we all know, we all have quirks, right? When we're living with people, whether it's expectations about cleanliness, our sleeping hours, our expectations of socializing versus studying, right? We all have different quirks. So student, your job is twofold. First, figure out what it is you need. You need to be able to advocate for yourself and say things like, I really would like to be sleeping by 11 p.m. Can we organize our life so that I'm able to do that? Or I feel better when the room is clean. Let's have a plan for how we're gonna clean the room, right? You get to advocate for what works best for you. But the second part of that is also listening to your roommates, right? They also get to do the same. And it's going to be an ongoing negotiation, right? I don't want to know what my husband thinks about being my roommate. My guess is it's not pleasant, right? But you have to have an ongoing conversation about what the expectations are for that fairly small space. If you hit a point where you can't hit a negotiation point, use our staff. Our RA staff will be happy to help navigate those conversations with you. If you feel we are just absolutely incompatible, we can't live together, then reach out to our staff, your hall director who lives and works in the building, and they will work with you to look for a new space. But, like I said, we don't have empty beds. So that space is probably gonna be a flip-flop, right? So where can we switch two people? So you're still gonna have roommates. So that roommate negotiation conversation doesn't end, it just changes. It's with a different person, okay? And I think all the adults in this room know, the more you can figure out how to work through these things, this is a life skill, right? As you think about living with people for the rest of your life. So let's talk about this concept of third space. Is this familiar to anyone? Find your third space. It's kind of a new, up-and-coming conversation in psychology about how humans socialize. You're gonna hear it all the time now that you've heard it here. So for most adults, your first space is where you live, your home. Your second space is a place you go to work. And your third space is where you socialize, where you see familiar faces. It could be the local pickleball court. Maybe it's the park you run at every day, or a coffee shop you frequent, right? You see familiar faces there, and you feel like this is a place for me, right? Many sitcoms embrace this idea of a third space, right? If you're like the show Friends, right? There's at the coffee shop, right? Parents, remember the show Cheers, right? Rest in peace, Norm, right? You can explain it to your students later. Right, but that was a group of people who had nothing in common other than they went to the same place after work every day, right? And then they got to be friends and really impactful people in their lives. So, students, here's your challenge. You are going to have a room where you get to rest and be home. You're going to be in classrooms, your required space. Where is your third space? And I hope you spend some time in those first few weeks looking for that. It very well could be the rec, or the library, or a coffee shop. It also is likely to be a space in our residence halls. We have studies, game rooms, common area kitchens, places where you can hang out outside of your room, and you will start to see some familiar faces. 20-some years ago, I lived in Hutchison Hall as a student, and I was working at the Hutchison Hall front desk. Great on-campus job, by the way. So I was working at the desk. That lobby area really became my third space, because I knew everyone else who was working at the desk. Even if I wasn't working, I would hang out there, right? Other students also started to create that third space. So I was working at the desk one day, and a first-year student came down and said, I'm wondering if you could help me use the city bus to get to a video store. Parents, you can describe video store later too, okay? So I said, sure, let's figure it out. We looked at the map. He got there and back. The next day he came back and he said, tell me how you got this job. Man, this is a great job. So we talked a little bit. He just started spending time in that space with all the other people who felt comfortable, right? And I was already there. We developed a relationship, and 20 years later, he stood up in my wedding because he needed to get to a video store, right? These seemingly inconsequential conversations become more meaningful over time if you lean into that third space. Okay, so that's what I would encourage you to do. We often get asked, when is this really going to start to feel like my home away from home? And friends, I want to challenge you, it's not going to be day one. It's probably not going to even be week one. It may take a few weeks before you feel like, I am comfortable here. This is my home. But you can do things to help expedite that process. So if you do things like leave your door open, that seems silly, like why would I leave my door open? Well, because you start to see familiar faces walking past your room, right? You start to learn who's supposed to be there. And then maybe you're in biology class in week 4 and you're like, actually, I think that girl lives down the hall from me. And so then the test is approaching and you think, I'm gonna ask her if she wants to study. We live in the same floor, right? Again, those inconsequential interactions become more meaningful. That's how you develop relationships. You're all experiencing this thing, this college thing. That is what you have in common. Lean into that, okay? And I need you to get comfortable being uncomfortable. There are going to be moments where you're just like, I don't know that I really want to do that. That's not my thing. Try it, right? The more you try, the more you put yourself out there, that's when you really start to become a part of the fabric of this institution. Students, it doesn't matter what other people look like on the outside. There are going to be people who look like they've got it all together. They're doing well academically, they've got loads of friends, and inside, they're like, I really am uncomfortable and I don't want to be here. Don't measure how people are feeling based on what you see. If you are feeling like you're unsure to be here, you shouldn't be here, you can also extend that olive branch. You can be the person that says, you want to get lunch, right? Here's another story from when I was a student. So I had a English class in one building and a math class in another building. And my first semester here, so I would write, and you're like, how do I get from one building to the next? You're very focused. You have 10 minutes to get there. And about the 5th or 6th day of doing that, I realized that there was this guy who was following me every day, like right from my English class to my math class. And at first I was like, this is very awkward, that this person is literally just following me. So one day I was like, I'm gonna be the brave one. And so I literally turn around and I say, do we have these two classes together? Like we have this English class and math class. And he's like, yeah, I think I follow you every day. I'm like, okay, how about let's walk together? And he's like, sure. And so that's for the rest of the semester, that started, right, a pattern of that 10-minute interaction. 10 minutes, that's it, every day. And then after math class it was 11, like, should we go get lunch? Sure. This is someone I now know. Again, lean into that uncomfortability, that awkwardness, and those will become meaningful relationships for you. I frequently say, students, the two most important words you can embrace in this first year is help and yes. Let's start with help. I don't know what it is you're going to need help with. Maybe you want to sign up for intramurals and you're unsure how to do that. Maybe you want some help being creative in the dining center so you don't get sick of the food, right? Maybe you need to make an appointment in counseling and testing. Whatever it is that you need help with, you don't have to know where to start. I hope you start with our staff, right? Do we have any former RAs in the room? Got a few, right? The RA's job is to really help you get connected to those resources. So if you don't know where to start with your RA. They will be more than excited to help you get connected to those things. Parents, you also can ask for help, right? You have a whole booklet there about campus resources. You're being introduced to all of them today. You can encourage your student to use those resources you're aware of. And if things still aren't working, I hope you feel like you can reach out to our office. Every fall, I get phone calls. Every fall I get phone calls from parents saying, I need some help, helping my student thrive here. Right, so here's my request though. Parents, please do feel like you can reach out. This is how the phone call often goes. Hi, Lisa, do you remember in START you said we could call? My student's having a hard time. I'm really not sure how else to guide them. I'm wondering if you could reach out to the student. And I say, yes, absolutely. And then they come back with, okay, but the student would be so mad if they knew that I called. So I can't tell you their name or where they live. We can try, right? So this is your opportunity, families. I hope this sparks a conversation on the way home, but students, I want you to look at your families, and I want you to say, I will not get mad if you are trying to help me. Go ahead. This is my favorite thing to watch because I love the students that are like, nope, I will not. Thank you for the invitation. Nope. So we'll see, okay? So, but really, right, we're partners and we're all in this together, right? Let's lean on each other to help, to make sure it's a successful experience. The other word that's up here is yes, right? Lean into that word yes. Students, you are going to be bombarded with opportunities to say yes in those first few weeks, right? Do you want to go to Eagle Fest? Do you have plans to go to the hypnotist? What are you doing for lunch today? How are you at soccer? Do you want to play intramurals? You're going to get bombarded. Just say yes to a few of those opportunities and you will start to connect with people, right? Our staff, the RAs on campus, I hope they are annoying to you. They will be asking you frequently, do you want to get breakfast? What are you doing for lunch? You want to go to dinner? Just say yes a few times and they'll stop asking you, okay? I tell them their job is to be annoying. Although, I said that once to RAs, your job is to be annoying. And this returning RA interrupted me and said, Lisa, I am not annoying. I am compassionately intrusive. Sure, that too, okay? So anyway, they're there to help you connect. Lean into that opportunity. And the second week of class, we kick off an event that you are all invited to participate in, which is Dorm Wars. A great opportunity to say yes. So that kicks off the second week of class. It's a great opportunity for whether it's volleyball, trivia, chalking. There's a lot of opportunities to prove that you actually live in the best dorm. Okay, so Wentz Hall, I believe, is the reigning champion. Consider this your challenge to take them down. All right, so you'll see more about that when you move in. So the question is, right, today you're gonna look at the logistics of your room, right? Probably measure like how big is a loft. But it's not really going to answer about what your community is going to feel like. And that's really up to you. Our communities reset every year. You get to decide what the feel of that community is, right? I love, one of my favorite things is when I see like a whole floor is like every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, open invitation for our floor to get dinner, right? Like how great is that? You can be the one to set that, right? Those are great moments. So as you think about the communities, know that we have policies on campus, right? They're like bumpers about behavior. So we have a policy about noise, because if you can imagine 418-year-olds in one roof, we're bound to have some noise, right? So we have a policy about that, right? And I hope that you are considerate enough to think, how is my noise level impacting other people? We have a policy about cleaning game. This is not the day you take out the trash. Anyone hunt or fish? We hope you continue to enjoy those hobbies. We would kindly ask that you not clean your fish in the community kitchen, right? I think we can all agree that's probably not in the best interest of everyone in the residence hall, right? Those are policies that we have really to care for everyone in the building. So know what those are and be respectful as you think about the environment. This afternoon, during the open house time, you will have the opportunity to see into 3 of our residence halls. So if you all got an email from our office a week and a half ago, many of you, or some of you are in what we'll call our housing queue. And so you don't have a housing assignment yet. We're working on it. We will have a space for you. Everyone else got a room assignment with notification about who your roommates might be. Okay, so if you are unsure, you can always log into our housing portal. This afternoon, if you've been assigned to Eagle Hall, please go to Eagle Hall and see that space, right? You've likely been on a campus tour, but today you're gonna look with a little bit different lens. Is my closet organizer gonna fit? Do I need an extra bookshelf, right? You'll be thinking about it differently. If you've been assigned to Sanford, Luxor, Oris White, or Wentz Hall, you should go across the street here to go see Sanford Hall. That is gonna be the space most like where you'll be living. If you've been assigned to Angel, Coat, Drake, or Hutchison Hall, those are our cubed buildings. And so the setup of the building is a little bit different. In the corner of each of those is a physical triple room, a bigger space. If that's you, you can go see what that space is, right? If you are in our housing queue, you can decide which space you want to go see or go see all 3. We'll have some staff there that can help answer questions and guide you through a kind of a self-guided tour of the building. I will leave you with this story. 25 years ago, my parents dropped me off at Hutchison Hall as a first-year student. I was ready. Academically, I was ready. I'd never been homesick a day in my life. I was very social. I was ready to rock this. We move in. My parents leave about 4 o'clock. Room is set up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make some friends. Met some people down the hall. We went to dinner. Came back. My roommate was doing something else. We didn't really jive right away anyway. And about 8:30, the sun starts setting. and I start to feel this feeling in the pit of my stomach. Is this what homesick feels like? I never felt that way. And I decided, I don't think this is gonna work. And so I think maybe I'm gonna call my parents and talk to them about coming to pack me back up. Like, I don't know that I should be here. So I call home and my dad answers the phone and I hear music. And I'm like, Dad, what's happening at home? And he goes, oh, we're throwing a party with all your other friends' parents who dropped their kids off today. Not the conversation I thought I was going to be having. But what he told me in that moment is actually they knew I was going to be fine, right? They knew. So parents, we know your student's going to be fine, right? We've got them. Students, there are going to be moments when you feel that feeling in the pit of your stomach. And I hope you lean on our staff. Our staff will help you connect, whether it's to resources or to other people, okay? We've got you. And we get to start that connection now.